Okay, so all your acting started with your mom bribing you to go to an audition. Can you share that story? I love that story.
Well, I was actually okay. So I've always been a theater lover, and my mom could definitely tell that. She used to take me to the theater all the time. But I was really into sports when I was younger, and I was on a basketball team. And there was in a neighboring town, there was a community production of Godspell, and there were flyers all over town. And she was really just trying to get me into it because she could tell I probably had an itch to scratch there. And I was a little resistant just because I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew with like after school activities. And also maybe I was a little shy about it. And she could tell that there was something there. So she actually bribed me with in that neighboring town, this amazing Italian place that had just like the best chicken parm ever. And so she
Yum.
said, look, if we go to that audition after your basketball practice, we can go to this restaurant that's actually no longer there. But um, so I didn't think that we were going to make it because it was late. And so I figured I was going to get the best of both worlds and get to eat this Italian meal and miss the audition. Turns out the audition was running late. I did make the audition. And I'm glad because, since there was a lack of boys in the department, I did get a very big role. And while I was initially daunted, with just the task at hand and memorizing all these lines, I was totally bitten by the bug once opening night rolled around. And my life did a total 180. I went from going to a big sports camp to a big theater camp the following year,
Wow.
and I haven't really looked back. I just think I probably realized I had more of a future in it, and my mom probably realized before I did.
Thank you, mom, right?
Thank you, mom. I owe it all to her.
Oh my God. Do you think that if your mom didn't take you, would your life have gone in that direction? Do you ever think about that? Hi, I'm Wendy Lowy Sloan, and this is What's Up with Wendy's podcast. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I began my career in New York City as a television producer for talk show legends Phil Donahue and Geraldo Rivera. And for the last decade, I've used these experiences to create my unique style in interviewing hundreds of A-list celebrities, newsmakers, comedians, musicians, reality stars, fitness and nutrition experts, best-selling authors, and so much more. So I hope you enjoy this wide variety on my podcast. I hope you'll share and subscribe. And again, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to this edition of What's Up with Wendy's podcast. When it comes to musicals, my guest today is a seasoned pro. In addition to his role in the Pitch Perfect films, he has starred on Broadway and made appearances in shows like Glee, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and on NBC's new musical dramedy, Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. It seems that every single TV show that breaks out into song, he's in it. My special guest today, Skylar Astin. You won't want to miss this. My special guest today, singer, actor, best known for his roles in the hit films Pitch Perfect and Pitch Perfect 2, amongst others. Joining me to talk about his roles in the films that seem to break out into song, which I love, and partnering with the Temptations brand to help launch 2 new cat treat products. Welcome to my show, Skylar Astin.
Hi, Wendy. How are you?
I'm good. Good. Thanks for joining me. How
My
is your
pleasure.
beautiful cat, Annabelle?
Annabelle is good. She's happier than ever, honestly, because I've been spending so much time with her over the quarantine that we've kind of developed a new sort of bond. So we are simpatico, her and I.
I love that. I keep saying that the animals have made out the best during this pandemic because everyone's been home so much. I don't know what they're going to do when the world starts to open up very soon.
100%. She's been totally spoiled this pandemic. I mean, she's also been putting up with my ridiculous antics. I'm constantly playing music, having little solo dance parties around the house, but she's really enjoyed it. And she's a very cuddly cat, so her and I get along. Something though that has been definitely keeping us more bonded than usual is my girlfriend and I found these Temptations treats. And she's not really she's kind of finicky with her food, so it's difficult to find something she enjoys. And we've kind of turned our treat giving into a sort of game. So she's making out great during this pandemic.
So what's the game? Tell us.
Well, it's kind of like, honestly, it's kind of like fetch, which is unusual to do with a cat,
I was
especially a
going to
cat like
say.
Annabelle. Yeah, there's these new meaty bites that are actually made with meat. And so it definitely taps into her carnivorous side. And I'll like toss them around the house or I'll toss them to my girlfriend. It's kind of like playing monkey in the middle. And I promise you, she loves it more than anything. And like I'll like hide them around the house and she kind of feels like she's finding it on her own. She really loves that with the meaty bites. And then there's this other product called the creamy puree, and she will literally lick that off my finger, which is so rare. It's like so bizarre that she actually will do that. But I'll either do that or put it on her food. And yeah, she's been very well fed during this pandemic.
She's been well fed, and you through temptations, you found two great brands, and it's Annabelle approved, so we know that they're good.
Exactly. Annabelle tested and Annabelle approved.
Well, that makes it all the more better because we know how much you love your cat, and we're all going to be sad when we have to leave our animals and go back into the real world. But at least they kept us company, and we kept them company, so it was a win-win.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I will her and I will now have something even more special when we are reunited when I do start traveling more.
It's Are you ready? Are you ready to start traveling more? Are you ready to start get back to life?
I am. I'm ready. I mean, I'm so in jar to be home so much, but I have gotten to do a lot of other stuff while being home. I've gotten like really into writing music more, and I've even made my office into kind of a recording studio. So I've recorded a bunch of stuff, and I'll probably be releasing that over the summer. So I mean, I've been doing my own projects, and I was in Vancouver for 7 months shooting season 2 of Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. So I've been somewhat busy. It's just been a weird time because even when I was away, I was basically quarantining there.
I know. Tell us, what was that like? Like, how did that work?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, there's like a lot of new health and safety protocols, and it's always kind of takes a village to do any COVID safety. It's just been a whole other beast, and our crew and cast was incredibly resilient, and we really worked together as a team to make this happen.
Do you think they're going to keep it like this going forward, or some of it?
I could see some of it happening for at least the next year or two, just because there's so many things with insurance. I could see if I was a movie studio or a TV studio, I would at least instill the mask rule, just because, by the way, people are always getting sick on sets pre-COVID. If someone has a little bug or a cold, everyone's getting sick on that set. It's just really close quarters. So, I have a pediatrician friend who says he's seen the least flu cases he's ever seen in his history of being a doctor, and that's probably just because of the mask wearing. So I could see that happening for a bit.
I could see Matt. You know what? We're so used to it by now anyway. So you put on a mask when you go into the grocery store. You put on a mask when you go in somewhere. Maybe it's going to keep us all safer in the end. Maybe this is the reason why all this happened, right?
Maybe. I mean, look, I love faces. I remember a face more than a name 10 times out of 10. And I really miss the lower half of people's faces. What I will say is I think I will instill that at least, in the future, at least on subways, potentially, if I'm going to do a Broadway show and want to just kind of maintain my health, or definitely going into an urgent care or something like that. It's pretty crazy to now think back and go, we were just like walking into waiting rooms without masks on. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
crazy thing to think about. So, I definitely think that's opened our mind up to that at least.
absolutely. If you just hear, I'm talking to Skylar Astin. Okay, so all your acting started with your mom bribing you to go to an audition. Can you share that story? I love that story.
Well, I was actually, okay. So I've always been a theater lover, and my mom could definitely tell that. She used to take me to the theater all the time, but I was really into sports when I was younger, and I was on a basketball team. And there was in a neighboring town, there was a community production of Godspell, and there were flyers all over town. And she was really just trying to get me into it because she could tell I probably had an itch to scratch there. And I was a little resistant just because I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew with like after school activities. And also maybe I was a little shy about it. And she could tell that there was something there. So she actually bribed me with, in that neighboring town, this amazing Italian place that had just like the best chicken parm ever. And so she
Yum.
said, look, if we go to that audition after your basketball practice, we can go to this restaurant that's actually no longer there. But um, so I didn't think that we were going to make it because it was late. And so I figured I was going to get the best of both worlds and get to eat this Italian meal and miss the audition. Turns out the audition was running late. I did make the audition, And I'm glad because, since there was a lack of boys in the department, I did get a very big role. And while I was initially daunted, with just the task at hand and memorizing all these lines, I was totally bitten by the bug once opening night rolled around. And my life did a total 180. I went from going to a big sports camp to a big theater camp the following year,
Wow.
and I haven't really looked back. I just think I probably realized I had more of a future in it, and my mom probably realized before I did.
Thank you, Mom, right?
Thank you, Mom. I owe it all to her.
Oh my God. Do you think that if your mom didn't take you, would your life have gone in that direction? Do you ever think about that?
I wonder if I would have found it in another way, maybe in high school or something like that, but you never know. I mean, maybe it would have taken another direction. I would have just been working in the garment industry in New York like my dad and just singing for people at the office, and at the company parties. And they're like, that guy's not bad. Because I've
So
always had an inkling to sing, but, never on a real stage until
when
that
I
time.
think when I think of you, Skylar, I think of like the roles that you do that always break out into song. I mean, you were in Glee, you're and now of course Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, and Pitch Perfect 2. There's something about you and a role and then song.
There is something about that, and I intend on doing that. I mean, it's a skill set that I'm very proud of, and I really do enjoy singing, whether it's just like me messing around on my Instagram, the music that I'm about to put out, or even, being a vessel for other people's music when I do cover songs on shows like Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist and Pitch Perfect.
I can't imagine a show in television that features something like that breaking out into song without you in it. And they're also happy too. That's the thing. Everything that you've been in has been like happy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I like to put smiles on people's faces, and but at the end of the day, we're definitely connecting with our audience. And even when we do make them ugly cry, they'll tweet us and thank us for having that release and having that escape. And especially season one airing during the heat of the pandemic, the heart of the pandemic. It was really nice for people to be reaching out, and we definitely feel that connection to our fans.
Has there been like a favorite role so far?
Mm,
All of them.
trying to think.
Or
Yeah, I mean, all of them. I mean, I also feel like my favorite role is one that I've yet to play. I do think that there's a lot more that I can offer. I love doing comedy. I love there too. Um, but yeah, no, I really love playing Max on Zoe's. I really loved playing the baker in Into the Woods when I did it on stage recently. Um, that was really rewarding.
so do you think is Broadway your first love?
Oh, of course. Yeah, always will be. I mean, that's where I started. That's where I intend on being, and I'll always go back to theater. It sharpens my tools a lot, and I love a live audience, and I just love that relationship.
I gotta say, there's something about that, right? There's something about that live audience and being there on that stage that's so powerful. I mean, even as somebody that's sitting in the audience watching, it feels like that. I can't imagine being up there.
Well, the audience is such a part of it, so of course you feel that, and that's why it's special for us as performers. There's nowhere to hide. The audience is right there. People are always like, "Do you ever mess up?" And it's like, I mean, look, people flub lines every once in a while, but there's constantly mess ups. There's cues that don't go on. There's lights that you have to find because one broke, and it's really got to stay on your toes in such a different way with theater. So I really appreciate that adrenaline and that feedback, and again, that relationship to the audience.
How do you prepare?
I don't know. I mean, especially when you do a long running show, it kind of becomes your job. It's more about your routine, warming up your voice, warming up your body, making sure that you're not doing anything during the day that's going to not, allow you to be able to do your show. Your show becomes like your temple. It just becomes this blueprint and this thing that you have, this reference point. So, it depends on the show, but each role in each show definitely requires a little bit of different preparation.
I would imagine. I imagine you have, do you kind of keep your routine, like you're eating and everything kind of the same, so you make sure you stay
Oh my
okay?
gosh, I got the weirdest, like weird, you know, you get a little